Your Excellencies, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Let me say a few words as our panel joins me on the stage. My name is Peter Rauch. I represent Mission to Seafarers, where I am Secretary General. We are a global seafarer welfare organisation working in more than 200 ports and 50 countries worldwide. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Maritime Standard for empowering this high-level session and the conference in which it is set, and extend our grateful thanks to our host, the Ministry of Energy and Infrastructure. My own organisation appreciates deeply our partnership with these organisations, and since Trevor gave me a Maritime Standard tie last night, I felt honour-bound to wear it. Joining me today as we reflect upon the challenges of our carbon economy and our journey towards a different future, we have a panel of expert voices. From DNV, where he is Global Director of Special Projects and Services, we have Ali Shahab. Oriol Tecido is Associate Director of Air Quality and Climate Change for Ricardo plc. Dr. Hanan Kafura is an expert of many distinctions and is an ambassador for the MENA region at the Italian Observatory for the Protection of the Seas. And Captain Arif Ali Awadi is from the Marine Emergency Mutual Aid Centre in Bahrain. All are welcome, and we look forward to what they have to say to us. But Ali, maybe I could come to you first, please. The net zero framework approved at the IMO last April now sets the industry on a very, very clear path of decarbonisation. From DNV's perspective, what are the biggest challenges ship owners face in meeting decarbonisation goals?
Well, the challenges would be is the readiness of the industry. So you set a regulation which says to the industry, listen, we have a milestone. By 2030, we will do this much. 2040, we will do that much. And 2050, that's where we will go near to net zero. But then how can you enable the industry really to reach there? That's where every stakeholder and player within the industry, they come together, and then we collaborate.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, if you have an existing fleet, which has a lifespan of another 5 years or 10 years, but that will go parallel to the 2030, whereby you start to have harsh reduction of your carbon footprint. And therefore, what are you going to do? You're going to scrap the vessel? No, of course, you're going to try, as the examples which were mentioned in the earlier session about, you start to do things by improving the hull optimization, reducing your fuel consumption, and this and that, and until you reach to the maximum.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just like a 60-year-old trying to go back in time and be younger. But there is so much for, the industry can do to make that. But then, hoping by then, is that you would reach the maximum lifespan of the asset, and then you shift into something new, whereby with a better technology and so on. However, parallel to that as well, so we have the alternative fuel to be available. And that's a dilemma at the moment of many of the stakeholders. Shall we use A, or B, or C, or D? But that's the alternative fuel. But then the technology as well to use that alternative fuel. Is that ready or not? So therefore, when you find yourself that the whole industry is collaborating to achieve that timeline, and therefore the likes of DNV and other maritime IX members, we work very closely with the industry to help them reach there. And what do we do in this regard? So we have joint industry projects, we have joint development projects, and therefore a lot of researches that are happening. And when it comes into DNV, So 5% of our annual revenue goes for R&D.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So as well as the changes and the new options, the need for clear planning with long timescales, but also the generation of convergence within the industry and collaboration.
Of course, but
between
that, that massive change that you are bringing, what we call decarbonize and digitalize, therefore set the tone forward. You're introducing so much change which needs to be managed, especially when it comes into the human element, and we will talk about it later.
I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Oriol, I'm sure you will want to tell us about the contribution of air quality to this question of decarbonisation, which I would be really happy if you could. But as you do so, maybe you could tell us about the sources, main sources of carbonisation from air quality.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the organization to allowing me also to bring this topic into the conversation. And maybe first of all, we have to ask why air quality is important. And I think that the answer is very easy. Everybody breathes. We all do. In average, every breath that we take is half a liter. Over the course of a day, we are breathing in and breathing out around 10,000 to 20,000 liters. So you can imagine, even if we have a tiny, tiny percentage of pollution on it, it will have huge health impacts. Yeah. And it impacts all of us, even if we are indoors, outdoors, at sea, or at air. Yeah. So unfortunately, the statistics are very bad. Every year, there is around 8 million people that die because of air pollution. These are World Health Organization statistics corroborated across the world. The children are also high impacted. 1 out of 10 deaths in kids under 5 years old are because of air pollution. So it's a very, very serious problem. 20 years ago, we thought it only had created problems to our respiratory. But now we found out, scientists found out that it impacts all our major organs. That includes our heart, it includes our lungs, liver, reproductive system, even the brain. So kids that are exposed to bad air pollution, they develop not as fast as others, which makes, I think, air quality a public health crisis that we have to tackle in all the sectors, and maritime is one of those. Okay. You ask also what are the sources. So the sources of air pollution are the same ones as the decarbonization. So we can tackle both items at the same time. Okay. So this is very important. Also, it's important from an economic perspective. Air quality, unfortunately, has very, very high impact on our society and on our economy. Because of these 8 million deaths, it has around 6% of the GDP is expended because of air quality. Well, this morning here, Captain Safe mentioned that there is expected to be a spending of $1 trillion to decarbonize the maritime industry. Mm-hmm. Do you know how much we expend every year because of air pollution? 8 trillion. So every year, we could decarbonize the entire maritime industry 8 times. So I think bringing this argument into the conversation is important. It can help us rebalance this economic challenge that I see in the maritime industry to move forward. So I think it's an important one. Then going back to your real question, which is the emission sources.
Yeah, and what can we do about it? So bearing in mind this is there, what practically can we do as an industry?
So first of all is, can we assess it? Because yes, we can. And I have a scientific background. What we do is we take samples of the air, we bring it to the lab, we check which chemical components are inside of it, and then we pinpoint which are the sources. When we do it here in the UAE, but also in Europe, in Asia, and other places, we find that there are 2 contributions from maritime. One is from the ships that are near the ports, the ones that we have nearby, primary pollution, but also the ones that are in the middle of the ocean. The air around us can move 10,000 of kilometers in a day. So today, maybe I'm breathing something that was yesterday in the middle of the ocean. So the emission sources that we have is the combustion of the fuels in the ships, which both emit NOx particles that affect my health, but also CO2. There is also the volatile organic compounds in the transferring of some materials in and out. And there is also in the port hoteling and port operations. So these are the three. And the solutions, I think, have been well explained over all the day. It's electrification of ports. It's moving to cleaner, sustainable fuels. It's moving to better handling or more efficiency in our operations, which all reduces the emissions.
Thank you, Ariel.
I think we can do it, and we are in the right track.
That's lovely. And I'm glad you've moved on to focus a little bit there on ports, because for Dr. Hanan, ports are a very particular area of your expertise. I wonder if you could talk to us about the ways in which climate change is impacting life in ports and the operations of ports. And again, what kind of practical steps from where you see things can ports and marine clusters be taking?
Okay, thank you for the question. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, today from the United Arab Emirates, a global hub of innovation and maritime excellence, we proudly stand with the International Maritime Organization for the future of our oceans and our industry at this defining moment. As currently the maritime industry is undergoing historic transformation, driven by stricter regulation, innovation, and technological advancement. However, decarbonizing the maritime industry is not merely an option, it's an imperative necessity to protect biodiversity, to mitigate pollution, to reduce climate change impact, and most importantly, to write a new bold chapter in our ocean history. Moreover, ports will be the backbone of the green transition, acting as innovation and energetic hub, responsible for the supply, storage, and production of clean energy. And as was reported by the International Renewable Energy Agency, at least 50% of low carbon fuels by 2050 will be passed through our ports. Nevertheless, the climate change is putting our ports under serious risks. Rising seas, extreme weather, and violent storm could threaten 3.5 trillion in port infrastructure, endangering cities' lives and economics. Then the choice is clear but urgent: or invest in resilient smart ports now, or pay far greater more later, or much later. Then, resilient ports, in simple words, will protect billions of lives and safeguard trillions of dollars. And to achieve this, we have to invest in both digital and physical infrastructure, paving the way for smart and sustainable worlds, faster, cleaner, and more profitable. Here and since the port will be the key driver to accelerating the green transition, also decarbonizing our ports, it is urgently needed for many reasons, some of them. Firstly, emissions from ports will grow fourfold by 2050 if we don't act effectively. In addition to that, the majority of ports are urban. This make their health is essential for the human health, and emissions from ports coming from two main sources. The first one from shipping, 70% from GHG emission coming from shipping in ports, and 30% from GHG emission coming from onshore operations. And these emissions can harm the air quality, and fuel the global warming. Furthermore, and at the same time, based on scientific studies, more than 86% of ports will be exposed to climate change disasters, causing multi-billion dollars in losses in economic and causing physical and operational damage. And we have already seen a lot of consequences. For example, Superstorm Sandy disrupted New York's port for weeks. In 2012, costing billions. Likewise, ports in Jakarta, Mumbai, and Shanghai face regular flooding, endangering cities' life and supply chain resilience. And as the ports is the beating heart of the global trade and the lifeline of our communities, here I would to mention that, and I would to recall the Newton's third law. Every action has a reaction. Then the emission from port and maritime industry returns to us as dirty air, extreme weather, storm, and rising seas. But the same law works for good. Then investing in clean energy, smart technology, green shipping, and smart sustainable ports delivers healthier communities, stronger economics, and cleaner oceans and safer planets. For this reason, looking ahead, the port of the future must be smart and sustainable, powered by clean energy, guided by artificial intelligence, connected by Internet of the Things, protected by blockchain and digital twin, making everything faster, smarter, cleaner, and more sustainable. Investing in smart, sustainable ports will be urgently needed for our next generation, for also the health of our ocean and our planet. Thank you.
So there is a key word in there of smart, isn't there? Which I suppose in that menu of things that we need to be addressing does focus our eyes, our minds towards the question of the digital side, which I know there is a lot of conversation about in the industry. We'll talk about that in relation to ports in a minute. But Ali, as you look at the shipping side of things, what is the role of digital in accelerating decarbonisation and in the shipping industry and keeping it safe, keeping it reliable?
Well, communication or connection of the ship shore is the name of the game. You know, previously I remember during sailing days we say no news, good news. And because we used to rely on our know-how and the competence of the people and so on, and really maybe we used to have disasters of massive scale that requires, like Exxon Valdez, for example, or you used to have, let's say, not so many people there and not size of the fleet because world population and let's say the globalization wasn't as big as now. But at the moment, you know, no news, good news is bad news, is the other way around. Actually, you need to know what is happening, whether it is for being aware, because at the moment, there's a lot of commercial aspects into the game. You're a ship owner, you are public listed, you have a vessel which has a flag and is carrying hydrocarbons, and which is could be a volatile kind of cargo, could be a pollutant, could be so many things. So therefore, having your commitment to and responsibility as an owner, operator, as well as maintaining the safety of the life of the people, the property of yours, as well as to protect the environment, the digital world became part of the solution in providing you all of that. But then when the decarbonization subject came into the equation, then it became also the solution for all of that. And what I mean is, imagine you have a ship and it's operating, let's say a VLCC, which is carrying 2 million barrels, and therefore is doing 15.5 knots fully loaded. And it uses a power of 40,000 horsepower, and it consumes 100 tons of fuel per day.
Yep.
The bunker tank is more than 9,000 tons of fuel. So every day you're burning 100 ton, and you think everything is fine. But then maybe the hull is foul, maybe the propeller efficiency is not so good, maybe the routes that you are taking are more, let's say, difficult for the performance of your vessel on the ship and so on. But when you have the digital infrastructure built in,
Yeah.
then you know what's happening here. Ship is overburning. I'm using more load. And you could have that. The guy who's operating, he becomes more aware about it. The guy who's managing, who's on the shore side, he has a timely information, and they communicate. I mean, talking about operation, never mind the safety, never mind the other parts. But of course, this does not come for cheap. It comes with a cost. And then, of course, to maintain that, it's quite, when it comes into the economic sense, therefore, a lot of challenges. And the industry, when it comes into the digital infrastructure, remains to be on the high cost side.
Yeah.
But over the years, projecting the next few years coming, there'll be more competitive solutions, more competitive companies that will be out there, many players. And because of the evolution of the technology is moving very fast,
Yeah.
which creates a lot of new solutions. And you live it in your normal day-to-day life with so many of the things that you use. So that's,
Yeah.
did I answer you?
And I was chatting to a large shipping company about 4 or 5 months ago, and they were saying that on one of their new ships, there are 3,000 sensors covering every part of the ship, taking the information feed, sending it back to the management center so that that conversation ship to shore can be going on.
I mean, nowadays you have a sensor for you as a human.
Yeah, for a human. Yeah.
Right? But then from that sensor, if you look into the application, you've got so much data which you are not aware of.
Yeah.
Which is, while you're sleeping, what happened?
Yeah.
Right? Because you're totally absent here. And therefore, but what decide on this is you as a person. But when it comes into the industry and when it comes into the organization, who decide? You need leadership. Leadership, they are the ones who are driving the change. When you have the right leadership in place, therefore things will change. And what do I mean by here? Let's say you are a ship owner, right? You own 100 ships, right? Knowing about all this regulation that's coming in the pipeline, wouldn't you want to know how much you are emitting of CO2 daily? Wouldn't you like to see it on your mobile phone when it goes into the orange or to the red? And you got a beep on your phone, you got a message. Wouldn't you like to know? I'll turn it now the other way. When your carbon emission is on the lower side and you operate in a pool of vessels, and you get a message that there is an opportunity for you to sell some credits and make money. Wouldn't you like? I can continue forever. So therefore, that's at the moment, unfortunately, not fully in the mindset of the system, but that's what the regulation gonna bring. Eye-opening.
So
People will learn.
keep an eye on your phones, folks, because you're going to be getting extra pings as well as Facebook about your fuel consumption. And we're talking about ships there, but Hanan, you were mentioning the role that digital has to play in ports. How do you see digital contributing there?
Okay. Basically, digital innovation is fundamentally redefining the port and the maritime sector, becoming the essential driver for a more sustainable future. However, digital innovation will transform our ports from traditional, with old structures and outdated infrastructure, into intelligent organism at the heart of global trade, pumping efficiency, safety, transparency, and sustainability. To fully recognize how the digital transformation will transform our ports, let's please all together imagine the ports as a living, intelligent organism, where the Internet of the Things will become the nervous system of this organism. Internet of the Things will act as the nervous system of this organism, where every operation is optimized and every process is performed with harmony and precision. Everything is connected, everything is expected. While the blockchain will act as the immune system of this organism. No fraud, no errors, only permanent and secure transactions, driving trust, transparency, and collaboration between stakeholders, becoming the true currency of the global trade. In addition to that, digital twin will act as the insightful eye which transform the visibility into foresight, a perfect virtual replica of the boards will create strategies in order to transform unpredictable situations into manageable solutions, which help us to predict maintenance, avoid accidents and incidents, avoid also congestion, and decision becoming smarter, faster, and proactive. In addition to that, and at the heart of everything, artificial intelligence will act as the thinking mind of this organism, analyzes, plans, and improves our operation. Artificial intelligence will coordinate all arrivals and departures, liking a conductor leading a symphony with maximum efficiency and minimum emissions, where safety rises, energy saved, and decision becoming faster and grounded in real evidence. Then, also, I would mention concrete examples from the region after deploying digital technologies. Port Ali reported after deploying artificial intelligence technologies and digital twin reported 40% reduction in downtime and 32% increasing in cargo handling and 22% energy saved. For this reason, also another examples as box pay system triples also deployed in Jabal Ali ports. It triples the storage of the container storage and reduce 70% of the terminal footprint. From global examples, I would mention cold ironing, also smart cold ironing, when traditional cold ironing is combined with a digital twin and artificial intelligence and powered by clean energy as hydrogen fuel cells, will cut the total emission coming from shipping, especially when ships at pairs, and total nitrogen oxide, sulfur oxide, and vibration and noise coming from the board. For this reason, last but not least, technologies are here. They are tangible and operational. They are real and ready to guide us for more sustainable future. Thank you.
And there's an interesting range of images emerging there, which maybe we don't hear so often in the shipping world. There's a very organic image there of a nervous system and of a body, and that the ship-to-shore communication. And Arif, I wonder if I could come to you, because this interconnected system, the ability to communicate, to manage risk, to respond to emergencies, I think is crucial to the work that you do. And I wondered if you could talk to us a little bit about that side of the work, importance of communication.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, we are at the MEMAC Marine Emergency Mutual Aid Center, which is under Regional Organization for Protection of Marine. Our role here to coordinate and cooperate among the 8 member states, which is the 6 GCC countries and Iraq and Iran. So our jurisdiction is from Shatt al-Arab in Iraq down to Iranian, Pakistani border and down to Omani, Yemeni border. So we have all these satellites, and this we are keeping all the time to check the communication. Being said that, okay, the communication, why is critical and how to maintain the maritime, it is the backbone. So if we think of the strong communication as the nerve system of the maritime safety, without it, the body can't react and can't coordinate accordingly in a way. So again, if we check what is the things which keep the lines strong for the communication, like we have got times is everything. Times, and we have got the mechanism cooperation, and we have got building trust. If you go back to the time in emergency, like an oil spill or fire, every second counts. Strong communication ensure that the right information gets to the right people at the right time instantly.
Right.
A mechanism cooperation at MEMAC communication is more than just we are talking. So it's about connecting people, agencies, and countries. So we share resources, assets, and make decisions based on real time.
Right.
And then if we go to the building trust, we use communication to prepare before an emergency hit to the thing. And we built relationship and trust. So we, when a crisis happens, we already know who to call, who to contact. So we always try to be ready for that points. This is what we do usually at our organization.
So good communication is something that doesn't just happen. It's something you build over time and through relationship, which is an important takeaway from your experience. But communication is only one part of the crucial relationships that are involved in your work. And what part does regional collaboration play in ensuring that there really is effective communication and effective response? Because we are sitting within a region with some very shared common concerns.
Yeah, and that we can say that the sea have no borders. So our response can't either. So in that, for the regional, we can talk like one team, one language always. So through the cooperation, we create a structured platform to share information and align our response procedure. This ensures everyone is speaking in the same language during crisis, preventing confusion and critical delays. The IMO guiding line hand, the International Maritime Organization, IMO, provide the global playback of cooperation. At MEMAC, we take the principle and put them into action, translating global guidance, effective regional support and action. So again, we have with personal connection, we facilitate joint exercise usually. Like we have got OSRO, the oil spill response officers, in each our member states under the national focal point. They are our colleagues. They are in 24 hours, 7 days, 360. They are ready there. So if anything happen, any crisis, any incidents happen, they contact us or we contact them to be on the line with us as a regional. So they are always there. We have got even our satellite at the ROPME at Kuwait headquarters, which is monitoring as an orbit all the time the full region, if anything happened for that. And we direct it, being communicate with our member states or any incidents happen between two of the member states. So we inform the both countries so we can coordinate and work together at the same time. Or we can, even if it's the incidents bigger than that, we can activate the regional contingency plan. Even we can call assistance from outside to keep our region, this region, always clean and ready for any incidents in the future.
Thank you. And I didn't chat to you about this beforehand, but I'm just interested in, as we think about alternative fuels, which offer real potential for clean energy, but potentially toxic consequences if we get it wrong. What currently is the thinking and planning around that for this region, the transition to different fuels? Is that an active area for work?
So, sorry, can you come back again?
Is it an active area for work planning for alternative fuels and the risks associated with those? And how easy is that to do when we're in such a fluid?
Well, we are always trying to catch up and implementing all the IMO conventions to this region, so we can follow that. Yeah. Rather than that, we as an organization in this region, we are always in contact with other organizations which are in the Red Sea and the Middle East there as a, and we are always even in contact with the port state controls in the region. So they are doing this job too.
It's great.
I think if I may add here,
Yeah.
so when you start carrying the alternative fuel as a bunker through bunker ships and moving them around, that's the new change that's happening
Right.
into this logistical services that's in place. And you imagine if you have ammonia carried on a bunker vessel going, which is not every day you see, but imagine that's in the future, you'll have it more often.
Yeah.
So therefore, you're adding a new element into the equation of the risk that Robmi is looking at. Yeah.
Yes.
Then when you think of as well, whether it is methanol or something else, and also for carbon capturing in the future, there is liquid CO2 is being carried.
Yeah.
So these are becoming, more of the hazard studies and the evaluation that's going to come in the future. It's going to get very interesting, and naturally, the systems will start to put mitigation solutions, protection, etc., in the plan. Yeah.
We are keeping all that in mind, that we are always updating each member state's national contingency plan to follow all these things and check which stakeholders, which entity they are taking of that part especially. So like in Kuwait contingency plan, they are doing, I think, with fire or department and the interior ministry. Yeah, they're following that one. Yeah.
Lovely, thank you both. Oriel, I've Arif in answering there used the phrase "the sea has no borders," but the air has no borders either, and in fact moves rather faster than the sea. I wonder, in terms of addressing air quality and decarbonisation, what role do you see for regional cooperation within this region?
I think there is a lot of positives in the region. And the first thing that we have to think is, what do we have that can differentiate us from others here in the Middle East? And I can think about two things that are very clear. One is the sun. We live in a very sunshine region. Second one, we have a lot of petroleum engineers. We have a deep expertise in the production and exploration of oil and gas. So I think the region has a lot of potential to become a hub of zero and net zero fuels. We can use the sun, we can use our expertise that we have in region to produce it here for the use of the countries of the Gulf, but also to export elsewhere. And as we are seeing, this is one of the items that we have to solve in this supply chain. I think the region has a strong potential in that one. Following to that, I think it would be smart to create regional bunkering fuels or regional bunkering hubs, which can be used to enable this fuel also. And third one, in terms of cooperation, one of the examples that I think that have been proven very effective elsewhere is the implementation of green corridors. Green corridors has been successfully implemented in other parts of the world. We just launched a feasibility study for a green corridor between the UK and Ireland. it proves that you need to tackle all the supply chain to solve it.
Okay.
But once you solve it, we found with this study we will be reducing 70 to 80% of CO2 emissions. That's through the energy sector, the ports, and the shipping industry. So if we can bring this concept to the region, implement it, and move it forward, I think it will be a huge enabler that will showcase and will move things from pilot to the scale.
That's a big number, 70 to 80%. That's a very impressive number. That's, thank you for that. I mean, I don't know if others were aware of that particular study. I was not. That's a very, very impressive number.
Maybe just to give where the savings come. So this is from a ferry carrier,
Yeah.
operates daily 4 ferries in each direction, and the decision is to move to shore cold ironing plus e-methanol on the
Right.
ships.
Thank you. Thank you. But it comes through really deep collaboration, doesn't it? All parts of the supply chain, everybody involved. And Ali, I wonder if I could come to you and just ask, how is it that DNV is working with regulators, with ship owners, with technology providers to foster really practical and scalable solutions?
Well, what the term we use is collaboration is the fuel of the future.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's people collaborate in order, reach the net zero by 2050, and therefore one of our contribution into the industry. So we have the energy transition outlook, which we launch it every September of every year, and it gives a projection of how do we see this transition of net zero up to 2050. It's available free of charge on the DNV website. Part of that report, what we call is the maritime forecast to 2050. And that is very maritime specific. And you look into there with the details and what happens from one year to another. That's where we see how the progression is happening. And what you will find in that report, there is a number that we talk about as well of how much investment needs to be made into the industry to enable it to reach into those targets. So is it 28 billion per year as the maritime industry need to spend, and then 3 times of that is on the shore side, needs to be done. By the way, so what we call is the maritime industry is black sheep of all other industries, and unfortunately it's left alone, for it to deal with itself. But I cannot, sort of transform my system without having an alternative fuel available. So therefore the industry ashore has to work with me in order for it to for us to work together in reaching the the holistic approach of 2050 net zero. However, when it comes on the shore side, refineries that want to produce alternative fuel, they need they need a market for it. They need there's economy that needs to be searched, and so on and so on. And that investment is based on that, and therefore everything will follow suit. So therefore, we work with the shore side, we work with the maritime side, and therefore to enable them to whether to produce the alternative fuel or for them to choose the right technology. And that's through advisory services, which is similar to other classification societies. We give a lot of advisory services into help them into making that very difficult decision. And therefore, doesn't stop here. So therefore, I'm talking about ship owners, for example, or ship operators or managers. But then when you go to the shipbuilders and the technology producers, those are the two guys which needs the maximum focus in order for things to happen. And then you bring the ship owner or operator or manager to come, and he chooses from that menu of choices that he could choose.
It's an intriguing answer. I'm fascinated this afternoon by the images that our panel are using to explain their concerns and the things that they are working with. So we just had a very strong ecological image there,
Yeah.
which I found fascinating. That we know we have an ecological issue to be addressed, and in order to do so, we find ourselves reimagining our human commercial activity in ecological terms.
Oriel, when he was talking earlier about, because air pollution is a serious one.
Yeah.
So it takes me back into, 2009, when I was writing specification for the new ships.
Yeah.
And to build the new ships, and therefore, okay, the maximum air pollution you will get is from oil and gas facilities on the shore side, and that comes from the flaring. So the local EPAs, they push them, flare less, flare less, flare less, and therefore that's a continuous challenge. The second one is, do you know that there is a ship that comes alongside to load cargo? And when they load the cargo, you have the cargo tank, so you have the drop line where you filling, let's say, crude oil. Now the air in the tank, where does it go? The air goes up, 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 and through something called vapor return. And when you look at the ship as an oil tanker, so you have manifold on the port side and on the starboard side. So there are loading arms, 1, 2, and 3, and there is bunker, diesel, and fuel oil, and you have a vapor return, which is supposed to be a vapor that goes back into the refinery, and therefore they will use it for on and on and on. Or you don't send the vapor back, you send it through a mast, that where the ship is loading, the vapor goes to the atmosphere. Correct?
Yep.
Right. So how many ports in the world get the vapor return? And therefore, if you look, the amount of pollution that happens as we speaking from local oil terminals is huge. I'm talking about loading ports. Hydrocarbon. It's unbelievable because the quantities, when you start to calculate, that's why I gave the example when I did
That's extraordinary.
writing the specification, I was looking for a solution because the refineries back in Kuwait, they don't do vapor return. So I looked for a technology and I found it, and it's called DVOC. So it reduced the vapor generation inside the tank by 70%.
Right.
So that's my contribution back into the society in order to reduce my emissions and therefore the pollution into the air. And that called the cabinet dilemma. You know, government cabinet dilemma, it's a hypothetical story which I use normally to get budget approval. And basically it's like this. The story goes like this. It's very nice, guys. Really, really. It took me many years of losing hair and to sit in front board and to explain to them, why do I need this budget? So basically the story is that when you are in the cabinet, you have a prime minister. The prime minister, his biggest enemy is the health minister. Because the health minister always come up year by year with more budget. The reason is, people are, sort of the number is growing, population is growing, then health services growing, the needs are growing, then budget year by year is growing. And he keeps complaining to this health minister, why don't you just hold on to the budget and try to keep it steady? This growth that you have, I cannot manage it. And the same thing that the health minister would say to the prime minister, it's not my fault. You have a bad quality air that is causing people to get sick. And we have to spend more money on treating them. So whose fault it is? The environment minister. The environment minister says, not me. He said, who is it then? We gave the reports. We said there is a problem with the quality of air. It's oil minister. So then the oil minister, and that vicious circle keeps going. And you need a leadership to say, guys, that's it. There's no more. I think I'm taking the time of everybody. That's the kind of dilemma. By the
Thank you. We are coming into the last sections of what we're going to do, but I did want to ask Hanan, from where you sit, what do you see as the things that the industry can do to accelerate this transition to zero carbon?
Okay, thank you for the question. Initially, I want to highlight some global alarming number in order to truly bring the maritime challenges into focus. Firstly, maritime trade volume could triple by 2050 in comparison with today's total, while GHG emission from shipping could increase up to 250% in comparison with the 2008 level. It depends on based on International Maritime Organization statistic. In addition to that, and despite the urgent need to change, approximately 99% of the global fleet still relies on conventional fuels. Moreover, more than $100 billion needed annually to decarbonize the maritime industry. They're based on UNCTAD 2023. And finally, more than 86% of ports will be exposed to climate change disasters. Then the challenges are huge. Then collective efforts is needed to transform these challenges into strategies and into implementing strategies to go forward. From those will be firstly investing in port infrastructure or maritime infrastructure, especially in ports, and transform them from traditional into smart and sustainable. In addition to that, also adopting and supporting development and the training program to transform workforce from from traditional into digital skills. And here we mustn't forget that digital transformation wouldn't be about machines replace a human. It will be about a human powered by technology for to make wiser decisions for better economic societies and for the ocean itself. In addition to that, also cybersecurity measure is imperative in this age. Also building a strong relationship between stakeholders and engaging the local community in the administrative system is urgently needed. Equally critical, adopting United Nations capacity building approach program, integrated approach of the United Nations development program is urgently also needed, especially in developing countries, and integrating ESG criteria in business decision also could be crucial in this phase. But most importantly, will be increasing the awareness about the importance role of oceans and maritime industry in our life. As the Secretary General of the International Maritime Organization said, our ocean, our obligation, our opportunity. Then I see, from my perspective, I see a huge opportunity here by increasing awareness about oceans and the maritime industry in our and our sector. Because oceans are not just beauty and leisure. Beyond this beauty and creation, there are deep significance tied to our planet's health and the future. They produce more than 70% of our oxygen and absorb a quarter of our carbon dioxide. They are crucial for food. They are supporting biodiversity, providing food and livelihood for billions of people, making their health crucial for our future and for the planet health. Moreover, the maritime industry is responsible to transport more than 90% of the global trade, and 99% of the global internet traffic is passing under oceans, then crucial importance. Last but not least, I would say that our old mariners relied on the stars to navigate the oceans, but now we navigate with sensors, artificial intelligence, digital technologies. We have a lot of factors to guide and to navigate our ocean, to rewrite our contract with the oceans, and to navigate them wisely, flawlessly, and seamlessly. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the drawbacks of being the moderator of a discussion is you never get to say what you think about something, but you do get to ask the questions. So there is a question which is a little bit of a wild card that I would like to put to our panel. Because I was chatting with Lloyd's Insurance in London probably just a couple of weeks ago, and they were updating me on the statistics for claims, maritime claims, and saying that it remains the case pretty much as it was about a decade ago, that 85% of maritime claims have human error somewhere within the mix of causal factors in a significant way. As I say, it's a factor which has hardly changed. So it's a cost issue, it's a risk issue, it's a performance issue, it's also an environmental issue. And I'm conscious as someone who works in seafarer welfare that hours remain long, 8 on, 8 off, 8 on, 8 off, 9 months with one bit of shore leave, if any.
72 hours a week.
Yeah. And by reputation, working records falsified on a regular basis.
You get detained if you do that.
So there are particular challenges for our seafarers. What part do you think seafarers will play in our journey towards decarbonisation, and how as an industry can we best support them? Any panelist?
I think one point is very important for as the crew, that the working hour or the rest time, as they are working more than the ILO and IMO rest hour. So this will affect their duties. And the other point, I think, how there is lack in communication when it's handing over from shift to shift, or maybe when they work overloaded, or when the owner or the captain of the ship, they give them a task and they want that task fast to be done. They don't think about even the safety of the labor or the safety of the area. So this is maybe from my point of view.
Thank you. Yeah, Oriol.
If I may, and if you want happy and healthy seafarers and crew, maybe we should give them clean air to breathe. So it may seem a joke, but our crew are spending how long in the boats, in the ships?
Yeah.
Weeks, months. They are next to these big machines burning that fuel, where we would not be living next to that industrial city. You know, it was our family. So I think in that case, it's not only about public health, it's also about occupational health. So maybe it's an angle to take a little bit more of action and attention in the coming days. And the good news is the same technologies that we are proposing will help them. So if we move to cleaner fuels, they do not emit those emissions. If when they are at port, we can do the cold ironing, we can turn off those engines so they can be sleeping better at night, and then maybe there are less human errors during the day.
Thank you.
So.
Thank you. And any other panelists would like to? Yeah.
I think that seafarers they are the backbone of our industry, because as I mentioned, as everybody mentioned here, that 90% of the global trade is transported by sea. Then can you imagine our life without seafarers? Everything will stop. But in this era of, because we are under historic transformation and it's a transformative era, also decarbonization and digitalization will put them under pressure. Then we have to guarantee this transformation for them, making this era more flexible for them. We also have to guarantee their health, their food, their right in this transformative era. Thank you.
Thank you, Ali.
Yeah, so my sea career started 1985.
Yeah.
So I was sailing until 2001. So it's tough being on board a ship working in that environment. So therefore, we talk a lot about work-life balance, and it's hit and miss depending on what type of ship, what's the route, who are the people with you, and so on and so on. So very limited, really, escape into how can you be happy in that job. Pay scale is not wow. Leave was not great. Now it's different, of course, yeah. And of course, with the evolution of technology and regulation, we had so much challenge, a lot of difficulties and complication, more paperwork, more things happening, and it made work-life balance even worse. And then you could see suicidal cases on board ships. This is on the increase, and therefore that mental health issue became on the surface. We started to work on it and educate systems to educate their people and take care of them and so on. But then comes back into the training. Training is a very, very important part. But the training, not just for the ship staff, the training even for who is managing them.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to train the guys, and they have to believe it in it. That's in the administration, the office, and then parallel training happens to the people on board.
Right.
And especially, on board the ship, what do you need? Social life, some communication, ability to connect with the shore side and so on. But then what you need is a happy meal. Have you been to Kuwait?
I've not been to Kuwait.
Did you eat matchbous?
No.
Matchbous
No.
is the famous Kuwaiti dish. So my chef at home, when I brought him from Bangladesh, he tried to cook matchbous, but it didn't work. So I sent him to my mother for a week. And he learned the perfect matchbous. Then every night, every day, the kids, everybody is eating matchbous. So fantastic.
Right.
So you need to train people.
Yeah.
And chef, the cook, second cook, chief cook, are they trained? Are they groomed in order to make this happy life on board?
Lovely.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's waiting.
Thank you. Yes, she is waiting. But I can't finish without just one comment. It's something I will be taking away with me. I must get on a plane this evening. But just such an encouraging statistic we heard earlier about the number of women who are graduating from the Maritime Academy here in Dubai. I thought it was deeply, deeply impressive. And as we take this journey, Hanan, I wondered if you could just a few closing comments. What is the contribution that you think the diverse voices of women can bring to our journey?
Okay. From my perspective, engaging women in leadership roles and decision-making positions, it's not about equity or gender equality. It's about activating the full capacity of the society, because women represent half of the society, and without leadership, the society will lose their full capabilities. And women bring include leadership and their energy, creativity. It's really needed, and not also women, also young talent, because they are faster adapted to the digital skills. We need also their energy, their creativity in this era of transformation, because as digital innovation will fundamentally redefining the way we operate, then will be faster and more flexible for women and younger generation to integrate in this era, because the journey is clear. Decarbonization is our destination. Digitalization is our passport. And planetary harmony is our last mission. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you'd like to join with me in thanking our panelists for their accessibility, for their humour and their insights. Thank you, panel.